entrepreneurship needs to be a core component of growth for the African continent. I'm Rich Bialik, and welcome to the Bialik Group Report. In past discussions, I suggested taking a look at the EU for some suggestions, ideas, thoughts on how the African continent can grow. Talked a bit about trade and really the importance of developing strong trade relationships within the continent and globally. I'd now like to turn to a second area, and that's entrepreneurship, and focus on the U.S. And to begin with, I'll compare the U.S. to the EU. In 2008, at the time of the Great Recession, the EU and the U.S. had about the same GDP, about 15 trillion. In those 17 years that have followed, today we now see the U.S. with a GDP of 30 trillion and the EU of 20 trillion. Why hasn't the EU kept up? I think to a large degree, it's the U.S. ability to support entrepreneurship, new companies growing in innovative ways. Looking at the top 50 companies in the world today, 22 are from the U.S., 9 from the EU. And if you look into the past 50 years, over that time, there's not been a new company founded in the EU that's reached $100 billion in net worth. In the U.S., there are 6 companies now worth over $1 trillion. Why is that? Well, entrepreneurship is encouraged in the U.S. for the following reasons. Risk-taking is rewarded, particularly in areas like Silicon Valley. If you fail, you get up, try again, become successful. Second, there are legal protections for small business owners, strong intellectual property rights. 3, a regulatory framework that is streamlined and more efficient than in the EU. And 4th, I'd say there's been welcome, receptive acceptance of legal immigrants. In fact, many of these innovative companies have CEOs that come from countries outside the U.S. I think you put all of that together, and that is something that African countries need to look at. When we talk about growing the African continent, I think it's going to come from individual countries working. Over time, they may group together, but at the country level, I think that's a form factor that you can work on entrepreneurship. Countries encouraging formation of new companies through less onerous regulation and legal support, and also encouraging investment in these countries and in these companies. That's my thought. I think combined with a sound trade policy and a focus on entrepreneurship, we have 2 areas that can help the African countries and African continent grow. Thank you for tuning in to the Bialik Group Report. Hope to see you again soon.